In Your Honor, a show where I interview extraordinary individuals who volunteer, communities, foundation that move towards a brighter way of life, voicing out what they stand for in the face of no agreement, exploring the principles, values, and how they balance work, life, and their finances, and what drives them to make a difference in the world. I'm your host, Katrina Mariano. Hey, hi everyone. My name is Katrina Mariano. We have our guest today. We call her Ate May from BKC. Maybe she can share more about that.
Good afternoon, Katrina. So I'm okay. How about you?
Very good. I just got back from Bali, but very, very good. And I just wanted to check in on how BKC has been and what, like maybe your story, your own personal story about that.
Balik Kalipay is a Filipino word. Balik, which means return, but Kalipay is actually a Visayan word that means happiness. No, so why Balik Kalipay? So that's the name of the organization. It's because in the context of our non-government organization, which does mental health and psychosocial support, it signifies really a journey of people who have gone through, should I call, adverse life experiences, whether it's a family who's had an experience of disaster, whose house has been devastated by the typhoon, or maybe somebody who lost a loved one, or anyone, a person struggling with distress. So the organization is helping people to return to happiness, to be a profound task, but how do we do that? And I think what we have experienced in the organization is it takes a process of really providing a safe space for everyone to share their stories, to tell their stories, and also retell the stories, no, in a manner that provides a different perspective of an experience. So if there's somebody listening to a story, and probably that person would also share his or her story, then the person who feels in grief or who is distressed can also pick up something different from that person. So it gives us a different perspective, or it's like reframing an experience, no? So from a negative experience, by getting people to listen to your story, it gives you a different sense that, oh, I'm not the only person who's going through this problem or this experience. So it helps reframe, no, the experience. So, but of course, that's a general description of how we do things. But in our workshops, or usually the trainings that we give, it's a lot of creative processes. It's not only just telling stories verbally, but we would have visual arts, drawing first the experience, and from there, that also helps the person share the story. And in a way, I think when we talk about a safe space, it's not easy to have a safe space, especially if you're a stranger. So how do we do that? It's a lot of group activities that we do, usually games, getting to know you activities that just warm up the participants in a group setting. And we realize that, well, at least for the Filipino communities that we have worked with, people just warm up to you, especially if they feel that there's nothing to worry about, or it's like when you open up even your name, your story, so people easily warm up and they begin to trust you as well as the process. So that's not necessarily just the magic, but there's something about making the other person feel that you're trustworthy, that you are here to support. And I think that gives us a sense of what we would call kapwa, like see the self in the image of the other, that we are not separate beings, but we are all connected to each other. And with that kind of relationship, the trust grows. And in a way, it's providing the chance, no, for the person to really heal, not instantly, no, but it's a beginning of getting a sense of there's hope just by connecting with others. There's a lot more that we do in Balik Kalipay. But right now, what am I busy with? The organization is really busy with its project, which we call the Inclusive Community Managed Mental Health Care. It's a project that's funded by our funder, the CBM, Global Disability Inclusion, which is an international organization that is focused on helping people with disabilities. And because we are in the mental health and psychosocial support work, our main stakeholders, and they are part of a project where we help them develop maybe a sense of what mental health is, because it's not easy for us to talk about mental health, especially in our country and in our communities, that there is a very strong stigma against people having mental illness or psychosocial issues. So we try to introduce the idea of mental health as something that we can discuss openly. But it takes really an education for people to be made aware that it shouldn't be stigmatized or discriminated against, no, if you have that problem. And I think we all have mental health issues,
Yeah.
mental health concerns. So it's something that we'd like people to be aware that it's everyone's concern and responsibility as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, glad that you mentioned about also the funding and what the meaning of Balik Kalipay means. I just also wanted to know about you personally, like how do you balance life and being staff of Balik Kalipay and creating time for yourself? Because you're so much for others. Certain things like we're talking about mental health, and do you ever have the sense that you are also going through some form of like, block? How do you create healthy boundaries, basically?
Well, that's a very good question, and it's a challenge, no? Especially when you are involved in a non-government organization that whose work never ends, no? And especially in our organization where our projects are in different parts of the country. I mean, we have project sites, no, not only in Manila, in Metro Manila, but also in Sorsogon and also in Visayas. So there's a lot of coordination and communication work that we have to do. So my take is, as a team, it's important for the team to, of course, be aware of our needs because we promote mental health and well-being. So it's important to give focus also on the well-being of the staff. And my realization is sometimes we do have a lot of priorities or maybe deadlines, and the tendency is for us to just deliver these deadlines, especially if this is a funded project. So you are responsible and accountable for the outputs, no, the outcomes to your funder. So you want to do your best and ensure that what was entrusted to you, you are able to deliver. So we constantly have our reflection and debriefing every time there's an activity. We have debriefing sessions. We really take time to ask, how do we feel? And in how we feel, it's not just how we feel, that we feel great that the workshop or the work is done, but what was the impact of an activity? What was the story that hit us? And we do get to discuss also if there were like some processes and the way we're doing things that need to be improved, communication, coordination, maybe there are some snags, no, in the implementation, but it's when we discuss and share how we experience together that's very important, and it keeps the balance within the organization to look after each other and not just the outcome. Because after all, we're not here just for the product, but also the process. Like we would have a very nice, powerful outcome, but if the process in delivering that, we had a lot of conflicts, no, between people. So I don't think that that is a measure of success. So success is also measured by how we feel. If we feel happy about what we did, then that's a good measure, I think. And sometimes we forget about happiness. That's why I think the organization in a way tells us that we have so many profound objectives and goals, but at the end of the day, we want to also feel good and happy, not just for ourselves, but seeing goodness and happiness reflected in the others that we try to reach out to.
That's really great because I can see with the name, that's our peg. So if we're not returning back to our happiness, what are we doing it for? So it's a good reflection.
Yes, it's really an organization, as I've said, no. The group has been established in 2015. So how many years is that? Or almost 10 years, I think. And I think you know this because we all started as volunteers. So we're just called every time there is an activity that we can respond to. But now that we have a project,
Yeah.
the task and the challenge and the demands are different.
Yeah.
There's more expectation and accountability. But one thing that I like about our organization is we always see it as a learning organization,
Yeah.
that no matter what happens, no, we learn from whatever we experience, no, we explore, and we're never afraid to confront all of these feedback, because at the end of the day, we want really to change, not just changing the communities, but changing the organization by starting amongst ourselves. No?
Yeah, it's really great. And thank you, Ate May, for sharing with us what Balik Kalipay, or what I call BKC, is about. That is us for today. I hope that you got to have some insights about Balik Kalipay, or BKC, as I fondly call it. And I hope that this gives you another venture of what's out there in the Philippines, and what either you can volunteer or be part of the community. So there. So thank you.
But Katrina, can I just say that if any one of your viewers now would be more interested about Balik Kalipay, we have a Facebook page.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Please share that one.
yeah, so it's a Balik Kalipay Center for Psychosocial Response Inc. We have the stories there, all the photos, all the testimonies. So they might be interested to just watch and listen, and also read more about what we're really doing on the ground.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Ate May, for that. Okay, that's us for today. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. And I look forward to, I trust that you enjoyed today's show. And I look forward to seeing you again next time.